Hey everybody out there in the YO universe, this is Survivor 2002 coming at you again from the Secret Lair in Virginia. This is the American Idol recap from the performance show on Tuesday last night, May 5th, 2009. First of all, I want to start off with acknowledging what Ryan so blatantly pointed out at the beginning of the show, that the stage was virtually falling apart. Now, I don't know what was up with that. But if I were producer for American Idol, I'd feel like Ryan kind of busted me out, because here is one of the most successful shows on national television, and y'all can't come up with some extra money to kind of keep the bolts and nuts tightened up on the stage. I mean, come on. We want good television, but having pieces of stage work fall on your performers, that ain't cool. Here's hoping somebody got on their P's and Q's and fixed that crap in between now and the results show, which takes place later on tonight. But anyway, the show was absolutely phenomenal for the most part. I was not expecting Slash to be the mentor. That was definitely an added plus. He was the mentor, got to advise a lot of the performers on what they were thinking about doing. And of course, as it always works, some people fared better than others. And first of all, naturally, Adam made out like a bandit, but we didn't expect any less from him. And I wasn't surprised that he picked out some Led Zeppelin. I'm surprised he picked out a whole lot of Love, because I think I really liked the performance that he delivered. It was steamy, and it was sensual, and it was hot, and it was edgy the way that rock is supposed to be. But having seen Robert Plant do it so many times on film, we know that the song really needs to be not just steamy, but downright XXX rated, shall we say. I mean, that is probably one of the raunchiest songs you can see somebody perform without removing a stitch of clothing. Of course, it's a family show, so steamy, I guess, will have to do. But Adam, of course, incredible job. I don't even feel like I'm putting myself out on a limb by saying Adam's safe. It's just a given. Allison did very well too, as I suspect her fans were looking for as well. But the song choice, I have to agree with the judges, was not quite what I would have expected or looked for from her. Cry Baby, a great Joplin song, and she delivered it well, but it was kind of limiting in terms of what we know she's actually capable of, and I still had wished she'd had the presence of mind to pick Pat Benatar. Maybe she saw some of Pat's songs and she might have been scared to go for it, but I think she should have gone for it, because she's one of the few people that can actually afford to do it at this point and still remain relatively safe, unlike other people that we're about to mention. But the duets came out. I didn't expect that. I should have thought about that, especially at this stage in the game. But they pulled out the duets, and the first one was Kris and Danny with Styx's Renegade. Okay, guys, seriously? Dennis DeYoung and Tommy Shaw have nothing to worry about in terms of being one-upped by someone doing more than justice to the original, because it was okay, but as far as wiping the memory of the original from your brain cells, I don't see that happening anytime soon, because there were some pretty rough notes, especially from Danny. And as Kara pointed out, the harmony parts really were where they hit their stride, but individually, Danny might have been a skosh better than Kris, but it just wasn't happening. And as much as I racked my brain for a suitable two male singer duet in rock that they could have done, nothing really came to mind, especially since Kris and Danny are so limited in this area, and Danny is completely a fish out of water when it comes to this genre. I mean, this is not him at all, where Kris could do much better, and actually did do much better. Kris followed that up with his solo performance, and he decided to do The Beatles Come Together. It was a decent job, more than I expected, and it sounded like he was almost but not quite working its way up to the Aerosmith version of that song, which actually had the grittier, harder edge that really took it to a new level. He still kind of remained more on the mellow tip with that, and it wasn't bad. I mean, I thought it was a heck of a lot better than the next solo I'll be mentioning very soon. But in spite of that, I think that for a couple of reasons that we'll discuss in a few seconds, Kris might be in danger of going home. Following Kris, Danny, I guess, just didn't care. He just figured, what the hell, I might as well go for it. So what does he pick? Danny picks Aerosmith's Dream On. Excellent, excellent title, and all too fitting because that sucked. Okay, it really did. He was fine on the parts where the notes didn't get too high, but when he hits that signature Steven Tyler note that if you can't go for it, you shouldn't. It was horrible. Simon described it as being like Friday the 13th. I wouldn't even go there. It's more like, I want to say Plan 9 from outer space, but I don't want to insult Plan 9. It wasn't that good. But I'm afraid that when Simon gave him kudos for growing a pair and actually making the leap of faith and not quite getting it, and then downgrading him for something else, I think his fans are not going to appreciate that too much, and we might see another Michael Johns / Chris Daughtry phenomenon here where Danny ends up staying when he needs to go and Kris ends up going when he needs to stay. That's the way it works out sometimes, especially when Simon comes out with the snarky comments a little too strongly and a little too late or too soon. I mean, the timing sucks anyway. The duet to close the show, you got Adam, you got Allison. They look good together, they sound good together. They could sing the rock version of Mary Had a Little Freaking Lamb and people would still be on their feet screaming. They decided to go with Foghat's Slow Ride, which I didn't really envision as a duet, but it worked out well. If they had picked anything that would have cemented their places in the competition just absolutely without a doubt, I would have selected for them in the Fantasy Song Camp Tina Turner and Bryan Adams' It's Only Love. They could have rocked the house with that. Thinking about the outcome or the possible outcome of the result show, I'm afraid that even though Kris deserves to stay more as far as I'm concerned, he'll probably end up going home and Danny will stay. Ugh. But even if he does, I don't see him making it to the final two. But stranger things have happened, and because people have been so against Allison, I guess, for her lack of personality or her youth or whatever it is that people seem to have against her, it could lead up to a Danny Adam finale. And some people did actually predict that from way, way back early in the season. So I would rather see her stay. But if she goes, I still think Adam is definitely the front runner no matter what happens. Danny wins, that's going to be a WTF moment for me and a lot of other people. I just don't see that. That wraps up the recap for Tuesday night. Hope y'all put your votes in for your favorites, all the votes you possibly could, and may the best man or woman be left standing to participate in the final push. So let's all tune in for tonight's show, and I will see y'all on the flip side with the aftershock. Till then, take care and talk to you soon.